Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith, and I'd like to welcome you to the Keep It Pro training call brought to you by Networking Wisdom each and every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific for the past 8.5 years. This call is brought to you free of charge every week with the intention to teach you specific skills and faith-based principles to get you to the top of where you want to go and how to stay there. It is based on the philosophy that what we make happen for others, God will make happen for us. The host and creator of this call is Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Romacio is an internationally recognized mentor, trainer, and entrepreneur. Although Romacio had extreme success in network marketing, doing over $2 billion in sales with a distribution team of over 750,000 people worldwide, 3 years ago, he decided to shift gears into the world of international trade, commodities, and finance. Having jumped into this unknown territory, Romacio turned to God for guidance more than ever, dedicating many hours to reading and listening to the Word of God. Over the last several years, he has gone through many ups and downs as he has had to navigate and learn a new trade. As he kept his faith and belief strong, miracles began to take place, helping him through his trials and tribulations. The Word held him steadfast, allowing him to come out on top once again. Having said that, one of his true loves is to teach the Word of God in a simplistic way, always drawing down from his own experiences. Every call is unique, and he is led by God when deciding on the topic of each week. God told him to start this call 8.5 years ago, and because Romacio has been so obedient, God continues to use him as a vessel to teach his word. I recommend that you go somewhere quiet where you can focus on this call, because I know what you're going to hear today will be profound. Without further ado, let me get out of the way and introduce your marketplace minister, Mr. Romacio Fulcher. Are you there?
Absolutely, I am here. Can you hear me, Meredith?
Yes, I can.
All righty. Thank you much again for, as always, being our illustrious host. I want to welcome everyone back again for another edition of the Sunday Keep It Pro training call. As you guys just heard, we do this call for the last 8.5 years. It's open to every person, domestic and international. The intention of this call is we teach you two specific things. Number one, we teach you the specific skills that you need to get yourself to the very top of any business, including a job that you may be promoting. The second thing that we focus on Sundays is we teach faith-based principles. Faith-based principles. Key word there is, number one, principles. Number two, faith-based principles. And so that is the focus and the outline of what we've done for the last 8.5 years. And I suspect that's what we're going to continue to do as we go forward. So I welcome you with open arms. If this is your first time tuning in, it's free of charge. We've never charged a dime to be here. We're not in this for clicks. We're not in this for more followers. We're in this because we're being obedient to an assignment that was, whispered into my ear 8.5 years ago to share with people what's being shared with me. One of the things that we do ask you, we ask you as a listener, one of the things we do ask is we ask you to subscribe to the philosophy that this call is being done under. And that philosophy is, we believe what we make happen for others, God will make it happen for us. I would just ask you humbly to believe that, subscribe to that, the belief that giving to others brings more back to yourself. It is a biblical principle, whether you knew it or not. It's a biblical principle. The more I give, the more I'll receive. It is a biblical principle. The more I give, the more I'll receive. It has nothing to do with your race. It has nothing to do with your gender, your politics, whether you were a believer in Christ or not, whether you live in America or abroad. It is, guys, it is a principle. If you could just understand and believe that if you work the principles, the principle will work for you. If you will work the principle will work for you. It's a principle, okay? So listen, I'm excited to have a continuation today on a topic we talked about literally well over a year ago. And the theme of today's call, can't wait to get to it. The theme of today's call is asking the right questions. Oh, we're going to have some fun with this topic today. I want to encourage you to buckle up. Please listen in. I think you'll find a tremendous amount of value from this call that we're going to do today. Asking the right questions. We are about to have some fun here today. Listen, in this lifetime, this current life that you're living, you are going to be faced with good times, bad times, sorrowful times. Let's just summarize it. You're going to be faced with several adversities. You know, one of the interesting things about the word adversities is they never come at a convenient time. One of the interesting perspectives about the word adversity is that it never comes at a convenient time. I hope you're listening to me. But one thing that we can all be assured of is that we all will have to face adversities. Today, everything could be going well for you. Everything could be smooth and in control. Tomorrow, things could be just hysterical and all over the place and just erratic and just crazy, right? The point of the story is each and every single one of us will be faced with adversities in this lifetime. If you are doubting what I'm saying, I would ask you to spend a little time with some of your elders. Spend a little time with people that have lived life a little longer than you. Ask a question or two and listen to their response, as they will tell you life has its own set of adversities for every single person. And unfortunately, adversities will show up sometimes when you least expect them. So, knowing that this life is full of adversities, I want to talk to you about something that I believe is not taught enough. And today, I'm going to do a wonderful job of really amplifying what I know to be one of the most important elements to maintaining a healthy perspective about where you are in life and a healthy perspective about how to move forward in life. Again, let me say that again. I'm going to do a wonderful job today of outlining how do we, as humans, maintain a healthy perspective of who we are, even though our current situation may not reflect who we are, right? Have you ever gotten into an unfortunate situation, whether it's a health element, a financial element, or a relationship element, and now you're looking at that situation, and that situation looking at you, and you looking at that situation, and that situation looking back at you, and you looking at the situation saying, this ain't me, and the situation is looking back at you saying, yes, it is, and you looking at the situation, and you saying, this ain't me, and the situation is looking back at you saying, yes, it is. Have you ever been in such of a conundrum? Has that ever happened to you before? I'm sure it has. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to outline a very important element on how you maintain a positive perspective about you, where you are, and also a positive outlook on how you get to where you want to go. You know, I want to start this, before I go into the meat of what I'm going to say, I'm going to start with a quick story, very quick. I'm hoping that majority of you out there listening, you know the famous NBA basketball player. He's actually my favorite player in today's time. His name is Stephen Curry. You guys have heard of Steph Curry? I'm hoping that most of you have. He plays basketball for the Golden State Warriors. He's a four-time NBA champion. He's now recently an Olympic gold medal. He won his first gold medal. He's actually unequivocally the best shooter God ever created in basketball, right? That guy, right? Steph Curry. Long story short, I just recently, a couple nights ago, in preparing for this call, I actually saw an interview, and one question was asked to Steph Curry about the recent Olympic championship game that he just participated in not even a month ago. And the question that was asked to Steph Curry, they said, Steph Curry, you had been having a bad series all series long. Notice what I said. It wasn't a bad game. He was having bad game after bad game after bad game. And the highlight of Steph Curry, he is a phenomenal shooter. And what that simply means, most of the time when he shoots the basketball, it generally goes in. He's just a great shooter. And but here he was, he's in the Olympics, and he's having a bad series. Bad game after bad game after bad game after bad game. And the interviewer said to Steph Curry, he said, now, let me just say this. In the championship game, the final game, Steph Curry exploded. He had an amazing performance. And let me just tell you, it was a legendary, memorable, unforgettable performance we'll never forget. So he went from ice cold, say it with me, ice cold to red hot. He went from ice cold, he couldn't make anything, to all of a sudden, one game, red hot, and he couldn't miss. It was on fire. I mean, it was the crescendo, if you will. It was just an amazing crescendo and there's so many lessons that you can take from this. But listen, but here's the point relative to our call. The interviewer asked Steph Curry, he says, you were having a bad series. He said, Steph, what does the conversation sound like in your own head when you're in the hotel room? What are you saying to yourself? And Steph Curry replied, I remind myself of who I am. I remind myself of the work that I've put in. I remind myself I'm the greatest shooter to ever live. And he said, I just know that a flurry is coming. I just know that a flurry is coming. Now, what is a flurry? Remember, he was ice cold. He couldn't make anything. And he is saying to himself in his own head that I know a flurry is coming. And that just means he's getting ready to make shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. And ladies and gentlemen, and that's exactly what he did in the championship game. And we the world, will never forget it. It's in the memory books. It's all over the internet. We all can see it. And what is the point? The point is, the theme of today's call is asking yourself the right questions. What I have found about majority of human beings is they have yet to discover that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality questions that you ask yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say it again, and I want you to think about your personal life. Remember, Steph Curry, he was in a very adverse situation. He knows he's a good shooter, but he's having a bad series. But the questions that he asked himself, again, the quality of your life is in direct proportion. It's in direct proportion to the quality questions that you ask yourself. In other words, if you ask yourself dumb questions and you say dumb statements to yourself, you're going to get dumb results. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to learn that the way we talk to ourselves, the questions that we ask ourselves will either push us forward or it'll make us go backwards. This call today is so utterly important because it really underscores the point, are you asking yourself the right questions? You know, another interview that I was recently watching, the gentleman had a terrible football game. And long story short, he says, listen, instead of asking myself and focusing all of the stuff we did wrong in today's game, he said, I chose to ask myself the question, what about all the stuff that we did right? There's always something positive, even in a bad situation, that you can build upon, Ladies, I want you to get what I'm saying. Gentlemen, I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. What are you saying to yourself? If my life and the quality of my life is in direct proportion to the quality questions that I'm asking myself, then it begs the question of, what am I asking myself? Most people don't understand that the way that you talk to yourself is extremely important. It's extremely important. I wish I could scream that at the top of my lungs. It's so important. What is the conversation that's going on in your own head? We, the world, we are waiting to see what you will do. We are waiting to see what you will do based upon the adversity that's happening to you. Again, relationship, health challenge, money challenge, job challenge, whatever the challenge is, we, the world, are waiting to see what happens to her, what happens to him. See, the world, we're waiting. But you, the individual who's going through it, you are having a conversation in your own head about it. And what I'm saying to you, you should be asking yourself, what did I do right? What did I do right? Now listen, I'm going to take you on a saga today of many different examples about this. Let's talk about a young man that was a drug dealer. And I purposely want to use an example that the world frowns upon to really make my point. Have I ever dealt drugs in my life? No. Have I ever used drugs in my life? No, I haven't. Does that make me better than a drug dealer? No, it doesn't. Okay? Listen to the point. Well, look at a young man who's a drug dealer, and I don't need to tell you about all the things that the world will chastise him over for what he did wrong, right? But let's take a look at what he did right. And before I start, some of you are probably thinking, Romacio, you mean to tell me there's good in a guy dealing drugs? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. So I'm gonna highlight it for you. The good that he did was he was so determined to change his life. Key word, number one, write it down. He was so determined to find money that he would do anything, including compromise his own morals. Now you say, how could that be good? Compromising your morals is not good, but being willing to do whatever it takes to attain something you want is greatness, baby. Oh, listen to me. I'm going to say it again. Compromising your morals is never good, because that's the fiber of who you are. But being willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish something that means everything to you is greatness. So instead of focusing on what he did wrong, now he's going to have to be responsible for his life choices, as we all will, but focus on what he did right. He was willing to do whatever it took. Do you know there are a lot of people out there they won't do anything. They won't do anything. They'll just let life beat them up, hit them in the nose, hit them in the stomach, stomp on their chest, piss in their face, and they won't do nothing. They'll just let it keep happening. I don't condone drugs or drug usage, but I do condone a man or a woman doing something about their situation. And you can run and tell your parents I said it, and I didn't stutter. I do condone that. I don't condone doing drugs or selling drugs, but I do condone doing something as opposed to nothing. So when we look at what he did right, what I'm saying to you here is there's always something good, even in a bad situation. You have to learn how to ask yourself the right questions. The same could be said about a young woman who, was a prostitute. I don't condone being a prostitute, but here she was. She didn't know any other way. She felt at the time she didn't have any other choice but to use her body to get her bills paid. I think that's not a good thing. Again, compromising your morals is never a good decision, but she did something. She was so desperate, she was willing to do anything to have what she thought would be a better life. My point to you is some of you are so hard on yourselves because you're not where you want to be yet, or it's not happening the way you envisioned it when you were a little girl, and you begin to focus on how bad it is, how just horrible the situation is. And what did I tell you moments ago? Every single one of us, including me and you, will be forced to deal with life's adversities. And I also told you that the world is watching how you choose to respond to your private situation. The world is watching what choice will you make in that unforeseen situation that you're in. What will you do? And the purpose of today's call is I'm telling you what the single thing that determines what you're going to do is the conversation that you're having in your own head about the situation. And what I'm encouraging you today is I'm encouraging you to ask good questions to yourself. Stop focusing on what you did wrong. Acknowledge what you did wrong, yes, but focus on what did you do right. Oh, this is such a good call. It's such a good call. I hope you re-listen to this, and I hope you share it with some people you care for. Because here's what's really being said today. Are you the type of person that loves to dwell amongst, focus on what you did wrong? What you did wrong. I know so many people, and I am not going to say any names. They love to point their fingers. You see, you're not where you want to be because you did this, and 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 this. And they love to point their fingers or look down their nose with their self-righteous little spirit, and they go, well, because of this, and because of that, and because of that. And I just think to myself, would you please shut up? Just shut up. Shut up. Because the same person doing all the talking about what the young man did wrong or what the young woman did wrong is the same person who will never know what it feels like to be courageous and do something bold. You see, when you begin to connect with highly successful people, those with morals and those without morals. Let me say it again. When you connect with highly successful people, both those with morals, with a moral compass, and those without, you're going to find a common thread. There was a level of courage. They were willing to do something. They were willing to get in the arena and fight the fight. They took action. They're doers in the world. They're not spectators. They're not commentators. They're doers. And here's the beautiful thing about when you're doing something that's wrong, you can make a new decision and actually end up on Right Way Boulevard. Let me say it again. You can go the wrong way, or what seems to be the wrong way, and all of a sudden get an epiphany or a revelation comes to you, and all of a sudden you make a right-hand turn, and you're now on Right Way Boulevard. Now go tell that to the media. I started off wrong, but I ended up right. Last time I checked, baby, it doesn't matter where you start. It only matters when you finish. And guess who determines what your finish looks like? You do, because you have the pen and you are writing the story. That's why it's so important to ask yourself the right questions. Ask yourself the right questions. Ask yourself the right questions. Asking the right questions is everything. Playing football just last Sunday was the first football practice from my son. It was his first football practice, flag football. And in the middle of the practice, he just starts crying, "Daddy, I don't want to play this anymore." And I'm guys, listen, just imagine me. I'm an alpha male. I'm sitting there. I'm excited that my son is interested in anything, especially excited when he's interested in sports, right? Because this is for me. I've learned more through sports than I've learned through anything, right? So I'm excited. Oh, okay, football. Okay, let's do it. All right, good. And my son's a little guy, he's 6 years old, 90 pounds, so he's a big guy. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the flag football practice, he just cries and "Daddy, I don't want to play this." And I'm like, okay, hold on. Are you sure? Is this just an emotional attack? Yeah, I don't want to play. I just don't want to play. I'm tired. My legs hurt. And so I don't know what to do. I'm being honest. I'm freaked out. I mean, should I be aggressive and say, "No, son, you're going to play. You said you wanted to do this. You're going to finish what you start." Now, mind you, he's a 6-year-old, and I don't know anything about 6-year-old development. So the coach right there, I look to the coach, and he's the owner of the team, and he says to me, he says, "Oh, don't worry about it, man. My son is 5 years old. Same thing happened. I brought him out here one time, and he's never came back again since." He says, you can't really push him. You just have to expose it to him. And, 1 week they'll want to do it, and next week they won't. He's 6 years old. You can't make him. You just got to roll with him. So I'm listening to the coach, and I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and I'm trying to take the coach's advice because this is what he does. This is my first time, and I'm stuck with an adversity. And I'm like, okay, and here's what's going on in my mind. In my mind, I'm thinking, so do I just let my son just think you can just start things in life and just quit? Do I just let him, whenever it doesn't go his way, he just quits? Do I let him believe that? And should I push him forward, or do I take the coach's advice and just say, "Okay, son, let's go home"? And so I said to him, "So, hey, can you tell me, is there anything about today that you did like?" And, we began to talk, and long story short, it ended up and we went home. He was done. He was done for the day. He didn't want to finish the practice, so we went home. Next thing you know, the second practice, we go back the next Sunday, and he finishes the entire practice. He finishes it. He had a good time, and he finished it. His friends were there, et cetera, and he finished it. So the point of the story is, what I did is I asked him questions about what he did right. And I began to focus on myself. What did he do that was right? At least he tried it. Now, I could have, in the same moment, focused on all the stuff that he did wrong and all the things that I disliked. I could have chose to focus on that. I could have, and I was tempted to. But I want to emphasize to all of you guys listening that in any given situation, there are two things that you can focus on. You can focus on what is wrong about the situation. And always write this down. Whatever you focus on, it always expands. Whatever you focus on always expands. But likewise, you could also focus on, what did I do right? Now let me share with you why this conundrum is so important when you're in this conundrum. Whatever you decide to focus on is what's going to expand. So if I focus on what I did wrong, I'll continue to just look for things I do wrong, and I'll continue to be super militant and super tight about don't make a mistake, and there's no such thing. Now listen, I'm a winner, and I understand that a part of winning at anything is you do have to execute. You do have to persevere. You do have to focus. You do have to finish. I understand details come with winning. I get that. But I'm also saying that sometimes when a mistake is made or somebody is doing something that you don't want, sometimes we allow that to eat us up inside, and next thing you know, it becomes our death in that situation. Versus if we could have just perceived it differently, if we could have just looked at it differently, it could have been something that now it could alter us and become positive for you. So what am I saying? The way that you perceive what's happening to you makes all the difference in the world of what the outcome will look like for you. Let me say it again. The way you perceive what is happening to you makes all the difference in the world for what will happen for you. I want you to write this down. Life is not happening to me. Life is happening for me. You see, when we look at Jeremiah 29:11, and it says that I, the Lord, have plans to prosper you, that God loves us and he has plans to prosper us. You know, let me just read that for you really quickly. I want you to hear that. It's so important that you to understand that. Jeremiah 29:11, it says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So my point is, if that is what God's intentions are for all of us, you know, plans to prosper us, plans to give us hope and a future, if that is what God's plan is for us, then the way that we perceive any situation, be it a health situation, be it a job or business situation, be it a relationship situation, be it a parenting situation, any situation that we find ourselves in, it is very important how we are perceiving what's happening. Yes, we are human. It is human nature to be frustrated, sad, disappointed, etc. But after you're done being frustrated, sad, mad, or whatever, etc., your emotions, what will you focus on? And what I'm encouraging you today is to focus on what you did right. I know some people that are so hurt because of a relationship that they will never, ever, 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 ever again allow themselves to give love to anyone because of a bad experience. And I'm not here to judge them. I'm not here to cast any sort of judgment. But what I'm saying, let's look at what you did right. At least you tried. At least you got in the ring, where other people will say, oh, no, I wouldn't dare want to try that. You see what I'm saying? There's so in other words, what you focus on, it will determine what you can build upon. So if you begin to focus on what was done right, now we can start the building blocks on what we did right. Write that down. We can start the building blocks from a foundational point of what was right about the choice that you made. I'm not saying that we're just going to, throw caution to the wind over the choice that was made that didn't come out favorably or didn't, the thing that was wrong. We're definitely going to be responsible for what we did that was wrong, but we're going to focus by asking the correct questions to ourselves on what we did right. So now here's what I want to do. I want to give you just a few questions that you need to start learning how to ask yourself. Number one, what did I do right? What did I do right? Notice, we're not going to ask the question, what did I do wrong? No. What did I do right? That's a question. Any situation that you're in, what did I do that was right? Number two, what good can I gain out of this situation? Number 3, how can this situation force me to get 1% better? How can this situation force me to get 1% better? How can God use me to accomplish something great? What are my positive skill sets? What are things that I do well? Just giving you a few questions to write down. What are my strengths? What do I love to do? What am I good at? If I did have $1 million, or when I do have $1 million, how will I steward it? When I have $1 million, how will I steward it? If I were to get the promotion today, what's the first thing that I would do? What habits should I embrace so that I can remain consistent in my performance? What habits should I embrace so that I can remain consistent in my production? I want you to notice, guys, every single question that I'm asking is a very, very positive question that pulls me forward. Every question. And if I had more time, I could give you a series of 30 minutes of just question after question after question after question, because I want to teach you to focus on the positive things and ask yourself good questions. Ask yourself the right questions. This is not an exercise for you to just not be aware of all things that are happening, the good and the bad. But this is a moment, this is a call that is designed for you to take full advantage of whatever situation you're in by recognizing that life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. See, as long as you continue to think and believe that it's happening to you, you are giving yourself the permission to be the victim versus be the victor. You are giving yourself the permission to be the victim. And if you feel that you're victimized, then you'll always feel that you got the bad deal, and you woe is me. You can't grow when you feel that you're always the victim. You can grow always 1% better if you choose to perceive it as, okay, I didn't want this to happen, but it happened, and as a result of it happening, it's happening for me. It's not happening to me. God has already told us in Jeremiah 29:11 what his plans as our Father is for us. So you already know what God's intention is or his plans for you. Now, I know you're sitting there saying, well, if that's God's plan for me, how come it ain't happening yet? I want you to circle the word yet, Y-E-T. God is not a magician. We have to make choices that will allow us to align with his intentions. Let me say that again. God is not a magician. We have to make choices. We have to mature. We have to make choices that will allow us to align with his will for our lives, which means that we can make wrong decisions in our life only to lead us to the right destinations. In other words, we can make wrong turns in our life, and those turns are ushering us to Right Way Boulevard. Let me say it again. We can make wrong turns in our lives, but those turns that felt wrong, this is why it's important that you don't beat yourself up too bad. It's really important. And we think all hope is lost, but God has already told you what his intentions are. What he's waiting on is for us to mature. He's waiting on us to come into alignment what his overall intentions are for us. Why is this the case? Because God did not make any mistakes. He is not surprised by some of the poor choices that we can make sometimes. He knew this would happen. But he loves us so much, his overall intention for us has not shifted, nor has it changed, because he knows the image that he created us in. And he's waiting on us using our free will to be able to make wiser decisions. Hence, you being on this call is a wise decision. Us learning to be able to focus on what is positive about any given situation and draw from what we're doing right as opposed to dwell on what we're doing wrong is also wisdom. The enemy wants us to solely focus on what we're doing wrong, make us live in fear, keep us afraid to try again, give up, lose hope. These are all dark, demonic emotions that come from the enemy. And what I'm saying to you is you have to look for, you have to choose to ask yourself the right questions. You have to choose to see the good in a situation in the presence of something bad. You have to choose that. That's a choice, guys. And I'm just telling you that I can't sit here before you and say that I'm a saint and that everything has gone perfect in my life, because it has not, and nor will it. But I can tell you, one of the things that I love about myself, is the questions that I ask myself. I always remember, life is not happening to me, baby. It's happening for me. Wait a minute, I'm 46 years old. Okay, all right. But life is not happening to me. It's happening for me. It's happening for me. It's happening for me. Say that. Come on, somebody say it. Life is happening for me. I'm right on time. See, the problem is we want to control everything. We want life to go the exact way we want it. And listen, you come on, you guys have all heard this before. If you ever want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. God, I want it to happen by this day, this. And you got to remember, there's only one God, and it's not me or you. There's only one God. So listen, guys, I love you guys dearly. The theme and the purpose of today's call is for you to learn how to ask yourself the right questions. Life is happening for me, not to me. And the way I perceive any situation will clearly determine where my destination will be. My perception of a thing has to do with the reality of the life that I will live. My perception of a thing will determine what my reality will one day be. I am a winner. I am the top and not the bottom. I am the lender and not the borrower. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I am victorious. I always win. I either win or I learn. I am loved by all people. I am the world's greatest recruiter. I can have anything I want. You see, again, the conversations. I know that life is tough and life gets hard. I know firsthand, baby boy. I know it does. I know it gets tough. But always remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so today is just one of those little checkpoints. That's right. Today is one of those little checkpoint calls on your journey. We're just wanting to remind you to make sure you are asking yourself the right questions. Questions that always pull you forward towards the man of your dreams, the woman of your dreams. the parenting of your dreams. Questions that always pull you forward. Always build upon what's right. Always recognize and celebrate things that were done that were correct. What's right. Don't allow yourself to be the person who only perseverates and lives in fear on all the things that were wrong. I can't stand people that choose that all they want to focus on is, what if this? What if that? What if this? Did it ever occur to you, what if you get it right? What if you get it right? Right? So guys, listen, I'm the California Kid, a short call today, but very powerful, thought-provoking. I want you to take action, and I want you to begin over the next 7 days to spend time asking yourself the right questions about your situation. For goodness sake, we learned today that life is not happening to us, but it's happening for us. I want to thank everybody for listening. I'm the California Kid, and I'll see you guys all next week. Goodbye, everybody.